Hello, hello. Welcome to Friday. I'm back for another fun and exciting adventure in block theming for WordPress. So, last week was a little different. I ended up moving my stream to Monday of this week. So if you missed it, the video is available on YouTube. And today I'm doing something a little bit different, and hopefully you can hear me. If there is any audio problem, please let me know. And I'm going to go ahead and send that to the chat. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show that comment. If you could just, whatever platform you're listening on, if you could just let me know. Yes, thank you. Looks like audio is good on Twitch. If anyone happens to be listening on YouTube, I have never published, or I haven't done streams like this before where it's coming from YouTube, so or it's going to YouTube rather as the live stream. So I'm hoping this will help me to get my streams up for longer term visibility a little faster with a little less work for me. So there we go. All right, I have to do a little bit of fiddling here because everything's changed. Thank you very much for confirming that YouTube is okay. So yeah, so if you're on one platform or the other, then you'll probably only see the chat for that platform, but I'm not really sure because I'm using a service called Restream along with my old OBS setup, and it's kind of new. So we'll see how it goes. And along the same vein, today is a bit of an experiment. So last week we were working through creating header and footer and sidebar template parts for our block theme version of the underscores classic starter theme. And I ran into a little bit of I wasn't expecting that. And that was when I got to the site title in the header. It has some conditional logic to display a different element on the home page versus inner pages in order to not end up with multiple H1 tags. And that is not something that we can do right from within the site editor right now. So what I thought I would do, and I'm going to be working on a blog post that implements this concept in a different way soon for the developer blog, what I'd like to do is try it with that. It's a pretty simple example. We'll look at the code that underscores used and try to integrate that into a block theme by leveraging the local block pattern registration, along with hiding the pattern from the inserter, and also using the pattern block in our actual template, and maybe messing with some locking, and we'll see what all we want to do to it. We can maybe demonstrate a few different things as we go along. So let's see. I am going to switch to my screen share. I hope that the resolution is okay. I think I might actually be streaming at a lower resolution than usual. So if it's fuzzy, I apologize. It looks okay on my preview, so hopefully it's okay for you as well. All right. So I'm in my underscores block theme site here. And if I go into Appearance Editor, then I can go in and see, actually, what I'm actually going to be working with is the header template part. And so in the site editor, that's what this looks like. And what I want to try to do is make this be one block if it's the home page and a different block if it's not the home page. That way, there's only ever going to be a single H1 tag on the site, assuming the rest of the content is configured correctly. All right, so let's see if I can get the code up. I didn't have quite everything put together when I started, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of wrangling here. So bear with me while I make this big enough for you to see. And I will go into my block. I want to open up the block themes rule. This is the classic theme. And I think there's a header.php that might have the markup code that I'm looking for. We'll see when I get in there. I know that there were some other stuff going on, and I'm using a computer that has not completely been tuned in to coding just yet. So I get it a little closer every week, but I'm only using this computer for my stream, so it's taken me a while to get all the kinks worked out. Okay, so let's see what makes this header tick. The part that we are concerned with for this activity is down here. So we've got our header wrapper. We're not worried about that, but what we do want is to get this section here, starting from line 32 with is front page and is home, if it's both of those things. Huh. All right. Okay, so let's start by creating a pattern, and then we can pull this PHP code in into the pattern. It won't work out of the box. We're going to have to do a little bit more work, but what we can do is change this markup in the middle to be block markup. And then hopefully it'll all just pop into place. That's my theory. So we'll see how good I am. As always, if you have questions, please pop them in so I can actually overlay. It goes right over my face when it's long. So Tristan says, hit a similar problem with a site that has different users seeing different content, too much logic and filtering of data. So this might actually be a solution in some cases. It might not be the right solution for every case. It may be that there are certain times you just want to use different templates altogether, and maybe do your conditionals in your functions file in order to pull an entirely different template in. In this case, it's just this one little switch, and I think this is a way to do it. It may not be the only way. All right. Let's see what we can do here. First of all, parts. Template parts and patterns. There's so many words everywhere. All right. So if I go into 2022, there's a good example of this technique in the 2022 theme. So this is where I go whenever I'm thinking about what else I could use this for. So if I go into wherever they put the patterns, here they are. And there's one pattern in here. I think it mentions it's a header pattern. Header, I think it has something to do with the bird, if I remember correctly. Wow, there are a lot of patterns in this theme. Hidden bird, that might be the one. Okay, let's see if I'm right. So this pattern is used only to reference a dynamic image URL. So this is using a template tag to pull that content in with PHP. And the reason that this is going to work for us, where we can't do this directly in templates and parts, is because patterns are registered with PHP code and not only HTML and block markup. So that's the way we make this happen. So to start with, the easiest thing for me, I think, is just to take this whole piece of code here and we'll move it into the theme that we're actually working with, which is underscores blocks. And I am actually going to make a new folder called patterns. I think this is the way we're doing it now. Let's check one other place just to be sure. Yes, see, in 2023, once 2023 came out, this new option to register our patterns in a more automated way was added. So we'll use that model to do this with. All right, where was I? Okay, I want to close 2023 up. And in our patterns directory, we're going to create a new file. And we're going to call it site title. How about contextual site title? Okay, and then I'm going to add this in. So when we register our pattern, what we see in here is we have some commented out stuff here. It's really just informational. So we can say site title and reference to add it. We're going to say this pattern is used only to add or change the element of the site title based on context. I should probably wrap my text here. I probably should try to make that a sticky setting so that I don't have to do it every time. Okay, and now we're going to go in and we're going to make this code our own. So let's see if we can figure out the best way to do that. So we're returning an array that has all the information about the pattern. I just want to verify that nothing else with the way that patterns are registered changed. And I'm not going to the docs today because I think it'll take me a while to find what I'm looking for there. And sometimes looking at an example is a faster way to get to what you need. Okay, so in 2023, not 2022, I can go into patterns and let's just see how, oh, here's a hidden one. Hidden no results. Okay. So this is a no results content pattern that does not have an inserter. So this did change. So the header, this header comment here actually is functional now. It's not just, yeah, this is a better example of what we're trying to do. All right, we're going to copy this one now and go into this. And take the whole thing and replace it. Okay, so the title is going to be used by the block editor to display a title if it were in the inserter. It's not going to be, but we want it to be in here for our reference. So it's going to be textual site title element. Okay, and then our slug, we're actually going to say is underscores blocks. I think that'll work. Okay, and I don't want this slug here. So the first part of the slug is the namespace. So that's assigning it to my theme so that you don't end up having collisions with other things with the same slug. And then that gives me the freedom to be less specific down in this section. And we're going to leave this no for the paragraph. Okay. And now what we want to do is all this block code down here, we're going to get rid of it. We don't need that because we're not going to use this particular set of blocks. But what I do want to do is come back over here to the header.php file from the theme that we're replicating. and grab this conditional code here, the if is front page part, and I'm going to drop this right in here. So then the next part will be, we need to get the code for our actual blocks. So, and it's going to go right into these spots here where the old HTML was. Let's go find that. So the easiest way to get block code is to go into the block editor, or into, in this case, the site editor. And then I'm going to switch to code editor view. And I can see that I am not in the right place, I guess. Oh, that's it. WP site tagline. Okay, so I actually need to make this a little bit more specific. Right now, the site tagline doesn't have any attributes assigned to it, so it's just going to use the defaults. So what I want to do instead is get out of the code editor, go back into the, back in here. And what I want to do is make sure that I've got advanced HTML anchor styles. I should be able to set whether or not this is in each one. Maybe I can't. Is that possible? HTML anchor, additional CSS classes, but I don't see a way to set the element. If anyone knows the answer to this, yell it out or type it. Typing it will probably be more effective. And now we are going to dive into the docs, developer.wordpress.org, and we're going to go into the Block Editor Handbook. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. We're going to go into core blocks reference. And I want to go to site title. All right. Attributes level. That's probably the attribute that I'm wanting. So it seems like there's an attribute, but no user interface for this. That is quite interesting. All right. So while we have the attributes listed here, we do actually need to know what the code looks like. So we're going to go into, let's look into block JSON. Level default is 1. Okay. Islink default is true. So we can leave the islink to true. We'll leave that to the default. The alignment, we're going to leave alone. We only want to change the things that we want to force into place. And so that's really the only the level. All right, so let's see if we can do it here. Code editor. And so normally I wouldn't be doing this by hand. So here we go. And I think its level should be, oops, 2. It's actually not supposed to be level at all. I don't want this to be a header. I want it to be a paragraph. This is going to have to be up. I suspect that this is going to need to be a enhancement request to this block, because I think that this was not really fully considering the way that this block would be used in the real world. But in the spirit of showing the actual functionality working, we're going to call it an H2. I think that's about all we can do here. That's unfortunate. Okay, here we go. So we're going to call it level 2. Interesting, like the paragraph tag is now surrounding this. I don't want to do that. Put headings inside of paragraphs, you silly computer. All right. Exit code editor. Let's try to. Oh, I broke it. Good for me. What did I do wrong? Did I have a typo? That's a good question. Welcome to Errors with Daisy. All right, level default is 1. Oh, it's a number. Ha. That might be why. Okay, so this should not be in quotes. Okay, let's see if that works over on the block editor side. I'll just reload this without saving. Oh, I guess I did something. Oh. No. Oh, I don't have opening PHP here. The wrong color. I'm going to fix my indents here. I don't know if this is actually the standards, but it is fine for me to read it this way, so that's what I'm going to do. There we go. That's better. Okay. Oh, there it is. There is a UI for it, and I can make it a paragraph. Ah. It, for some reason, even though this menu here is right in front of me, I always head to the sidebar to fix things, and sometimes that's not where they are. Okay, user error. A level 0. Level 0 makes it a paragraph tag. I feel so much better now. Okay, so now that code is in there. And now if I change this to yes, I'm going to go ahead and say yes to the inserter. That way we can see that the pattern actually works. So we're going to refresh this again. Okay. And now I want to do a exit code editor, and I want to add a pattern. It's probably going to be under uncategorized, and here's my pattern. All right, so that's been inserted, and right now it does have an H1 tag. So let's see what happens on the front end. Okay, so it looks like it's this bottom one here. So right now it's an H1. Let's see if this works, then when I go into the inner, it should have changed to a paragraph, and it didn't. So it may be that the pattern is loading too late. I did say this was an experiment. I wonder if it will work if I put it into my template, because that might actually allow it to load earlier. Okay, so let's go find how this was actually included in a template somewhere. So I know that there's this no results one. So let's go see how they included that into probably search. Pattern. Here we go. Slug, hidden no results. So this is an example of how to add the pattern in, which we want to put into our header in our block theme. I've got too many things open. Can't find them. So we're going to go to parts and look in header. And instead of the site title, we want to put in the pattern. So we don't want to, we need the pattern to be the pattern that we registered and not this one. So that is this naming convention here. There we go. Okay, so now we need to go back and remove our changes. Let's do this. Can we do it from here? Maybe not. All right, so we'll go out to the manage all template parts, and we're going to clear customizations. That'll take it back to the code version. And let's see if anything changed. Nope, sure didn't, unless it's just styled, but I don't think so. It's still an H1. So the best I can figure is that it's an order of operations problem. If I change my, let's just test this and say I actually want it to go the other way around. An empty container there. So if it's doing what I think, it might use the second piece. Let's try that. Okay, so now we have the paragraphs. So something is actually happening. It seems more likely that it's not seeing that it's the front page or home. I wonder what would happen if I made that an or. So that's good. No. So let's try just is home. Still no. All right, I'm going to try a different template tag. I'm going to try is singular. Maybe is single. That should give me just single post. So it should be an H1 on individual post views if the conditional is working. It is not. Yeah, so I guess that maybe it's happening too early. The logic is before the template tags are available. That's unfortunate. I don't have a solution to this right now. So I guess the other way to do it would probably be multiple template parts, which I don't love. But in this case, it's only one additional. So the way that I would do that is have the header, main header, have the just the plain paragraph tag. And then create another header for home. And I would want to duplicate this header. Oops, wrong one. This one. Edit. And then paste those blocks in, maybe. I don't think I've copied those correctly. Copy blocks, that's what I need to do. Go back to home header, edit, and now paste. And so for the home header, I will want this to be a heading 1. I can save this. And then for any templates that are not the home template, you would use the main heading. And if it's if it is your home template, then you'd want to use the other. And I will go back to the drawing board on this to see if I can find a way to easily do this without only relying on what goes into functions.php. So it seems that there are some things that you can do in terms of like pulling in dynamic information and using this pattern workaround. I don't know. It's not exactly a workaround because we are using it on official things, but it's kind of like a off-label usage, maybe we could call it. One of the other ways that this can be used, this concept of having a pattern, you can do it so that your strings are translatable. So if you look at some of these other parts that were in the previous block theme, default block themes, like 2023, we go into parts and maybe not parts, patterns, and then maybe this call to action one as an example. So we've got all of our block markup, and then here there's this PHP nested in here that is running through an escape and getting a text domain, which does a couple of things. One is that it's making sure that this doesn't include any disallowed code, that it's going to escape the HTML, and then it's also going to allow this to be translated. So if you wanted to run a translation file for the theme, you could translate the string to be something for whatever the language of the was being requested for the site. So that's a good example of one way that you can make use of patterns to accomplish things that the templates and parts on their own don't allow for because of the nature of the HTML block markup. And that is basically that. Let me see if there's anything else I can think of that we might go over. Let's see. So I do know that there are a couple things that just launched little improvements to Gutenberg, so I could talk about those because I was working on the Gutenberg release this time around. I got to be involved in that process. And one thing is that this navigation for the site editor's sidebar that pops out has some new interface that lets you kind of navigate through it without having to leave the view that you're in. So while I'm not directly in the editor view, you can kind of see that it's grayed out. If you want to, it's grayed out, you want to see what else you can do from in here, you can navigate around. And if you click in further, then it'll give you a little description here of whatever the template is or a part is. And then there's this save button down here at the bottom that allows you to save all of your changes across your site that have been made while you're in this session of the site editor. So if you make a change to a template part and then you make a change to a template, then you can actually save everything at once. And what it'll do is it'll pop out the multi-entity save panel out the right side, and you'll see all of the different things that are like queued up to be saved. And you can pick and choose which ones you want to keep or not. And then this is the other piece that next to the word design here is this little caret symbol or arrow symbol, I guess it is. And that lets you navigate back. And when you're at the root of the navigation, then it'll bring you back to your dashboard. So there are actually two ways to get back to the dashboard. One is the site icon up in the far upper left, and then this arrow as well, if you're all the way out into the navigation as far as possible. So those I think are really cool things. And I think that if you create, like here we're in the navigation, if I create this, I can actually add a new navigation item and I can move it around, and I can actually I can add submenu links and I can expand that. So this is getting us a lot closer to the way we used to create our navigation menus in the classic menu system. So I think that's a huge improvement. This is actually the first time I've had a chance to really try it out. It seems like you can't drag to nest. I'm not sure if I'm missing something or not. But it's just your primary navigation that you can do from there. for the moment at least. And then just before manage all templates will bring you in to see all of your templates, and then you can add new ones from here. And then now this, I changed the navigation a bit, so now the save button is here. I guess it doesn't pull the panel in, it just does a modal over the screen. You can save. So yeah, so I'm glad the nav was fixed too. This is the chat that I'm looking at. It's been a pain point for a lot of people. It worked, and I think that if you are in your template, let's see if I can get to that. Here's my navigation, my header navigation. If I edit this, let's see what happens. Navigation, here we go. Open up the sidebar. Then we still have this here. So I could add another block. I should be able to move that around. I can, that one's locked. Oh, I guess it's locked because it's part of the page list. Okay. You can't, maybe you can't nest from here either. But where did my logo go? It disappeared. All right, it's not perfect, but but it's coming along, and it'll continue to carry on and get better over time, just like everything that we do. So, all right. So I think since my experiment did not work as anticipated, and I didn't do a lot to prepare another topic, I thought that was going to take up my time frame. I am going to go ahead and close things out for today. And next week, I'm planning to do kind of a speed run through a theme build. It's not going to have a lot in terms of design, but I want to at least get the blocks in place, the structure in place, some basic layout stuff in place, and try to demonstrate a few techniques along the way and get an actual complete theme at the end of the stream. So it will be a interesting experience to try to build a theme in 90 minutes. So we'll see how far I can get. And it may be less of me talking just because that takes up a lot of time when I'm going through and explaining all of the things that I'm doing. So I don't know exactly yet. Maybe I'll just stay quiet and play some music or something and just show the process as a quiet thing. So I'll consider that possibility. So thanks for anyone that joined today. This should be available on YouTube very quickly. And I hope to see you all soon.